Well now, welcome back to The Wizard of Oz. We are at the end of the book. I'm going to read the last two chapters in this video because chapter 24 is really only like 3 sentences long. It's like wicked short. There's not a lot to it. So I'm going to read 23 and 24, and that will finish up our reading. As well as a spoiler in the title of chapter 23. The Good Witch grants Dorothy's wish. Before they went to see Glinda, however, they were taken to a room in the castle, where Dorothy washed her face and combed her hair, and the lion shook the dust out of his mane, and the scarecrow patted himself into his best shape, and the woodman polished his tin and oiled his joints. No comment. When they were all quite presentable, they followed the soldier girl into a big room where the witch Glinda sat upon a throne of rubies, which I can't imagine was that terribly comfortable. She was both beautiful and young to their eyes. Her hair was a rich red in color and fell in flowing ringlets over her shoulders. Her dress was pure white, but her eyes were blue, and they looked kindly upon the little girl. "What can I do for you, my child?" she asked. Dorothy told the witch her story, how the cyclone had brought her to the land of Oz, and how she had found her companions, and how the wonderful adventures they had met, and all the wonderful adventures they had met with. "My greatest wish now," she added, "is to get back to Kansas, for Aunt Em will surely think something dreadful has happened to me, and that will make her mourn. And unless the crops are better this year than they were last year, I'm quite sure that Uncle Henry cannot afford to have a mourning wife." All right. Glinda leaned forward and kissed the sweet upturned face of the loving little girl. "Bless your dear heart." I swear that's what it says. Bless your dear heart. I was not wrong. I was not wrong about the Southern thing. "Bless your dear heart," she said. "I am sure I can tell you of a way to get back to Kansas." And then she added, "But if I do, you must give me your golden cap." "Oh, willingly," exclaimed Dorothy. "It is indeed of no use to me now. I don't need it. It's just a cap now. It doesn't do anything special. You can have it. Go ahead. Sure, why not?" Sorry. "Indeed, it is of no use to me now, and when you have it, you can command the winged monkeys 3 times. And I think I shall need their services just those 3 times, answered Glinda, smiling. Dorothy then gave her the golden cap, and the witch said to the scarecrow, "What will you do when Dorothy has left us?" "I will return to the Emerald City," he replied, "because Oz has made me its ruler, and the people like me. They do. They like me. No, people like me. People talk about me all the time. I'm one of their favorite people. They told me so. I'm their ruler. I was made their ruler. They didn't make me their ruler, but some dude in a balloon made me their ruler. And anyway, they like me. They really do." Doesn't say any of that. The only thing that worries me is how I'm going to cross the Hill of the Hammerheads. "By means of the golden cap, I shall command the winged monkeys to carry you to the gates of the Emerald City," said Glinda, "for it would be a shame to deprive the people of so wonderful a ruler." "Am I really wonderful?" said the scarecrow. "You are, unusual," said Glinda. Turning to the Tin Woodman, she asked, "What will become of you when Dorothy leaves this country?" He leaned on his axe and thought a moment, and then he said, "The Winkies were very kind to me and wanted me to rule over them after the Wicked Witch died. I am fond of the Winkies, and if I could get back again to the country of the West, I should like nothing better than to rule over them forever. And I have an axe to grind." "My second command to the winged monkeys," said Glinda, "will be that they carry you safely to the land of the Winkies. Your brains may not be so large to look at as those of the scarecrow, but you really are brighter than he is when you're well polished. And I am sure you will rule the Winkies wisely and well." And then the witch looked at the big shaggy lion and asked, "When Dorothy has returned to her own home, what will become of you?" Over the hill of the Hammerheads, he answered, lies a grand old forest, and all the beasts that live there have made me their king because I killed this spider while it was asleep. Totally asleep, snoring away. No threat to anyone at all at the time, certainly not to me. I didn't wake it up and said, let's fight over who's going to be in charge here. No. He was totally asleep. I jumped on his back, knocked its head off, never saw it coming, never saw what hit him, because I'm brave. And I'm the ruler of the forest now. If only I could get back to this forest, I would pass my life very happily there. My third command to the winged monkeys, said Glinda, shall be to carry you to your forest, and then, having used up all the powers of the golden cap, I shall give it to the king of the monkeys, that he and his band may forever be free forevermore. And that's how the band The Monkeys got together, boys and girls. That's right. Last Train to Clarksville, Daydream Believer. Look it up. They're good songs. They were the Monkeys. They used to be the Flying Monkeys, and now they're just the Monkeys, and they play good music. The Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman and the Lion now thanked the Good Witch earnestly for her kindness, and Dorothy exclaimed, you are certainly as good as you are beautiful. You ain't just pretty, you're smart, too. and you're kind. Sorry. But you have not yet told me how to get back to Kansas. What's up, babe? Your silver shoes will carry you over the desert, replied Glinda. If you had known their power, you could have gotten back to your Aunt Em the very first day you got to this country. Silly girl. Should have asked somebody. Should have made an inquiry. Should have looked it up on the Wikipedia. Just telling you. Just saying. That's all I'm saying. But then I should not have had my wonderful brains, cried the Scarecrow. I might have passed my entire life in the farmer's cornfield. And I should not have had my lovely heart, said the Tin Woodman, and I might have stood and rusted into the forest until the end of the world. And I should have lived like a coward forever, declared the Lion, and no beast in the forest would have had a good word to say to me. Killed a spider while I was asleep. This is all true, said Dorothy, and I'm glad I was of use to these good friends. But now that each of them has had what he most desired, and each is happy in having a kingdom to rule beside, I think I'd like to go back to Kansas now. The silver shoes, said the Good Witch, have wonderful powers, and one of the most curious things about them is that they can carry you to any place in the world in 3 steps. And each step will be made in the wink of an eye. All you have to do is knock the heels together 3 times and command the shoes to carry you wherever you wish to go. If that is so, said the child joyfully, I will ask them to carry me back to Kansas at once. Yeah, I think we've established that. I think we figured that out. Kansas, right, got it. Want to go back to Kansas, understood. She threw her arms around the lion's head and kissed him, patting his big head tenderly. And then she kissed the Tin Woodman, who was weeping in a way most dangerous to his joints. She hugged the soft, stuffed body of the Scarecrow in her arms instead of kissing his painted face, and found that she was crying herself at this sorrowful parting from her loving comrade. Glinda the Good. Really? Glinda the Good. Glinda the Good. Yes, she is. Stepped down from her ruby throne to give the little girl a goodbye kiss. Well, she did that. Okay, yeah, it's fine. Dorothy thanked her for all the kindness she had shown to her friends and herself. Dorothy now took Toto up solemnly in her arms, and having said one last goodbye, she clapped the heels of her shoes together 3 times, saying, Take me home to Aunt Em. Instantly, she was whirling through the air, so swiftly that all she could see or feel was the wind whistling past her ears. The silver shoes took but 3 steps, and when she stopped so suddenly that she rolled over on the grass several times before she knew where she was. At length, however, she sat up and looked around her. Good gracious, she said. She was sitting on the broad Kansas prairie, and right before her was the new farmhouse Uncle Henry had built after the cyclone had carried away the old one. Uncle Henry was milking the cows in the barnyard, and Toto jumped out of her arms and was running towards the barn, barking joyously. Dorothy stood up and found that she was in her stocking feet. The silver shoes had fallen off during her flight through the air and were lost forever in the desert. Chapter 24. Home again. Aunt Em had just come out of the house to water the cabbages when she looked up and saw Dorothy running towards her. "My darling child," she cried, folding the little girl in her arms and covering her face with kisses. "Where in the world did you come from?" "I've been in the land of Oz," said Dorothy gravely, "and here is Toto, too. And Aunt Em, I'm so glad to be home again. There's no place like home." The Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I really hope you enjoyed the story. What should we read next? I love you much, and I hope to see you soon.